now that you understand how to create and name your variables, you would need to understand what's going on the memory side for you to have a proper understanding of JavaScript. Alright, so when you create a variable x and you initialize it to 1, for example, something needs to happen on the memory side, because we said that JavaScript will need to allocate some space in memory for your value 1. Okay, so what's going on exactly? Well, let's have a look at the memory of your computer. It consists of bytes like this. So we're going to start with byte 0, byte 1, and then it continues until the end of your computer's memory. So we're talking here about the volatile memory, the memory used by your computer to run programs. This is not the memory which is used by your computer to store a movie, for example. So 1 byte will consist of 8 bits. A bit is the smallest piece of information that your computer can handle. So this is usually referring to 0 or 1, for example. So to have a proper understanding of this, 1 gigabyte is 1024 megabytes, and 1 megabyte is 1024 bytes, and a byte is 8 bits. Okay, so each of these bytes is going to have its own address. Okay, so when you create a variable x, x will need to point to one of these addresses in your computer's memory. Okay, and that's the start of x. Basically, x is going to occupy a few bytes inside your computer. So in our example here, the green bytes are occupied by our variable x. So we start with that byte, and then that one, until that one. So each of these bytes has got its own address. So basically, x is going to occupy a range of addresses inside your computer's memory. And that number of addresses, okay, will depend on the size of x. So numbers, for example, in JavaScript will occupy 8 bytes, which is the equivalent of 64 bits. Okay, so now hopefully you have a proper understanding of how JavaScript handles the memory side in your computer when dealing with variables.